Hello ladies, welcome to 5.5, write equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. Our SWABAT is write equations of parallel and perpendicular lines by comparing slopes. Parallel lines. Take a moment and read through the definition. What I'd like for you to do is highlight the important things that you see. Miss Hygra. Hi.
Hi, this is Miss Hygra here. Okay, parallel lines. Two non-vertical lines with the same plane that have the same slope. So that's what's the most important thing here, is that two lines, if they have the same slope, then they are parallel. And likewise, if they're parallel, well, then they have the same slope. So for this first example, Miss Fitzgerald, it says, find the slope of the line parallel to the line y equals negative 3x plus 7. What do we need to do?
Well, I think that first we need to find the slope of the line that's given.
So is that 7?
No, remember that your slope is always the coefficient of the x term.
So coefficient, that's the number in front of the x?
It's the number in front of the x. What would that be, Miss Hygra?
That would be minus 3. That's my slope. So if it's parallel, then it has the same slope.
Right.
So my m would be negative 3. That would be the slope of the line parallel.
That's correct, Miss Hygra.
Excellent. Can you show me how to do example 1?
I can actually show you how to do example 1. So they tell us to write the equation of the line that passes through negative 3, 3 and is parallel to the line y equals negative 2x plus 1. Because it's parallel, my slope of my new line will be m, or slope, equals negative 2. I'm also given the point negative 3, 3. So that's my x and there's my y. Just like we did in the previous day's notes, Miss Hygra, I'm going to plug directly into the formula that says y equals mx plus b. Instead of y, I'm going to write 3 equals m, which is negative 2, times x, which is negative 3, plus b. How's that look, Miss Hygra?
Looks great so far. So now you need to solve for b.
Yes, ma'am. So 3 is equal to negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6 plus b. Yep, my b's look like my 6's, but that's okay. We can tell the difference. Minus 6 and minus 6, so negative 3 is equal to b. I now have my slope and my y-intercept. I'm feeling like now I could write my equations. What do you think, Miss Hygra?
Yep, you go for it.
So y equals, instead of m, negative 2x plus b, which is negative 3. You want to try the next one, Miss Hygra?
Great. Okay, since we know how to do this, I'm going to write the equation that passes through this point. So I have my x and my y. I want it to be parallel, so it's going to have the same slope. So my m is equal to 3. So what I'd like you to do is pause it and see if you can follow along from the first example, and then check back to see what we do. Okay, so I have my x and my y and my slope. So I'm going to plug it into my y equals mx plus b formula. So I'm going to plug in my y, which is 4, my m, which is 3, times my x, which is 5, plus my b. I'm going to simplify. So 4 is 15 plus b. And I'm going to continue solving for my b. So I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides. And I get negative 11 is b. So I'm done. Right, Miss Fitzgerald?
No. Remember, you need to write the equation of the line, not just find your m and b.
Excellent. So I have my slope and my y-intercept, so I'm going to plug it into my slope-intercept form. So I get y is 3x plus b, which is minus 11.
Good job.
And I'm going to box in my answers.
Way to make it official.
Thanks. What's up next?
Next, we have perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines, if two non-vertical lines in the same plane have slopes that are negative reciprocals.
That's a big word.
It's two big words, actually. I'm going to underline each of them, negative and reciprocal. Then the lines are perpendicular. Remember, negative, what does that mean? Well, it means the opposite sign.
Yep.
Say that with me, Miss Hygra.
Opposite
sign. Good job. So the reciprocals, as you know from elementary, that means that you are going to flip it. So if I told you 1/2, you would say
2.
Very good. If I wanted the opposite reciprocal or the negative reciprocal of, let's say, negative 2/3, what would you say, Miss Hygra?
Well, the opposite sign, or the negative, so now it's going to be positive, and if I'm going to flip 2/3, I get 3/2, so it would be 3/2.
Good job, good job, good job. If two non-vertical lines in the same plane are perpendicular, then their slopes are negative reciprocals. Sounds redundant, yes, but it's important. So, now that we know what perpendicular means in terms of slopes, let's look at the example we have on this side over here. Find the slope of the line perpendicular to the line y equals negative 3x plus 7. Well, first question, what's the slope of the given line, Miss Hygra?
Well, the slope is, remember, the coefficient, as you said, of the x. So my slope here is negative 3.
Okay. Now, for perpendicular lines, though, I need the negative reciprocal of negative 3.
Okay, well, negative 3 isn't a fraction, so
does
it
not.
helps me to write it as negative 3/1.
Good job.
So I need to make the reciprocal, so my reciprocal slope is going to be 1/3. Am I done?
You kind of are for this one, but why are you done for this one?
Well, I reciprocated it. Oh, but I need to make the negative reciprocal. So since it was negative here, my slope here is going to be opposite. They're
That's
always
right.
going to be opposite signs.
Always, always, always. Good job, Miss Hygra.
Thanks.
You're a great teacher. Let's do another example. What do you think?
Okay,
Shall I?
go for it.
All right, thanks. So write the equation of the line that passes through negative 3, 3 and is perpendicular to the line y equals negative 2x plus 1. First thing I need to do is find the slope of this line. So my slope is negative 2, kind of like how yours was negative 3 over there, or ours. So my opposite, or negative reciprocal, well, the reciprocal of 2 is 1/2. And the opposite will be positive. I also have my x and my y. That's it for the new stuff for this problem. Now we'll do exactly what we did in the previous day's notes and in what we did for parallel lines. Go ahead and pause and see if you can write the equation on your own. If you're stuck, I will work for you, and Miss Hygra will commentate for me.
Okay, so we're going to start off by plugging into the slope-intercept form our y.
I'm going to write down the formula because I just think some people might need to see it one more time. So y, yes, is 3. Got it. What's
Now
next?
you plug in the m over here,
Which is 1/2,
and then you multiply it by your x,
which is negative 3.
plus your b, which we want to solve for.
Got it. So this is 3. Oh no, Miss Hygra, I have a fraction. What am I going to do?
Well, we're just going to deal with fractions because fractions are our friends, Miss Fitzgerald.
Ooh, fraction action. Let's go. All right, so I'm adding 3/2 to both sides. And these cancel out, which is great because that's the easy part of this problem. Now I have 3 plus 3 over 2. I think I need a common denominator, so I'm going to put the 3 over 1. How's that look?
Good so far. Now get your common denominator.
Common denominator, I believe, is 2.
Yep.
So I'm going to leave that one because it already had my denominator. For the top fraction, I'm going to multiply the top and bottom, also known as the numerator and the denominator, by 2, and I get 6 over 2. Adding them together, I get 9 over 2 is equal to b. So my equation will be y equals 1/2 x plus 9 over 2.
Excellent. Can I give it a try?
Please, be my guest.
Okay, so again, feel free to pause the video and try it on your own. But I'm going to work through it. So I have my x and my y, and I have my line. So my slope is given as 3/5, so the line perpendicular is going to have the negative reciprocal. So since it's positive, I need the opposite sign, and the reciprocal, so I'm going to flip it to be 5/3.
That's good.
Okay, so I'm going to plug into my y equals mx plus b formula, my x and my y. So I have my 3, which is my y, times my m, which is negative 5/3, times my x, which is negative 3. And I'm going to write as negative 3 over 1 since we have fractions,
Good call.
plus my b. So I plugged in my x coordinate and my m there. So I know the 3 and the 3's cancel because one's in the top and the bottom. So I have a negative times a negative, so that's going to be a positive. So I have 3 equals 15 plus b, and I'm going to solve for b, minus 15 from both sides, and I get b equals negative 12. So I'm just going to plug in my y-intercept and my slope into my y equals mx plus b formula to get y is negative 5/3 x minus 12. And we are done with that. So let's
Good
move
job,
on.
Miss Hygra.
Thanks. I feel so encouraged.
Yeah, I'm an encourager.
Good. Okay, so for this one it says determine which lines, if any, are parallel and perpendicular. So, Miss Fitzgerald, what do we know about parallel lines?
Well, Miss Hygra, we know that parallel lines have the same slope.
So the same m.
slope.
And the perpendicular lines have,
The negative reciprocal.
so we write negative recip because those are two long words.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so line A, we have this. So what's important for line A that we need to know?
Well, the main thing that I care about is just the slope. I don't care what the y-intercept is. So can you tell me what the slope is for the line A?
Okay, line A, your slope is 4.
Good. What about for line B, Miss Hygra?
My slope is 1/4. So they're not the same slope. So
They're not the same, but they are reciprocals. Ding, 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 ding.
but they're not the negative reciprocal.
Wah, wah,
So
wah.
A and B are neither
They are
parallel
neither.
or perpendicular. So A and B are neither.
That's right.
Okay, because they don't have the same slope and they're not negative reciprocals. Line C, my slope is negative 4. Well, that's not the same as C.
right.
So A and C would also fall under the category of neither. And you know, in reality, most lines really aren't anything special.
That's
They would
right.
fall in the case of neither. But what about, are any of them parallel?
None of them are parallel because none of them are the exact same number. I think A and C are close, but not quite, because one's positive and one's negative.
Okay, so we looked at A and B, and we looked at A and C. So now we need to look at B and C. So what do we know about B and C?
Ding, 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 ding. Hey, Miss Hygra.
Well, they're not the same. We already discussed that, so they're not parallel.
That's not what I was excited about.
And they have opposite signs.
Yes, they do.
So maybe they're negatives. Are they reciprocals?
They're reciprocals, Miss Hygra. They're reciprocals.
But that's 1/4. This is -4.
Put the 4 over 1.
Oh, now I see it. They
Yeah.
are reciprocals. So lines B and C are perpendicular.
Yes, they are.
Excelente. Great
Ooh.
job, Miss Fitzgerald.
And you're bilingual, too.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.